Okay, we're still in factoring here, factoring perfect square trinomials, factoring special cases actually is what this lesson is called. What's a perfect square is a number made by squaring a whole number. So I've got some examples up there. If you're watching the video at home, you may want to write these down. 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, so on and so forth. You can just take your calculator, multiply 9 times 9, you get 81. 10 times 10 is 100. There's more perfect squares. We can keep going. I just listed a few. 11 times 11 is 121. 12 times 12 is 144. Okay, so a number made by squaring a whole number. What we are going to do in factoring is we're going to recognize this today as we look at these. And we're just going to actually just kind of jump right in. What you're going to notice if you wrote those down, that this is still the same thing that we've been doing. We're going to recognize that, you know what, 36, we could write out all the ways to get 36, but sometimes we can recognize these really fast. So this one would still be done the same way we've been taught how to do it. X times x is x squared. And 36 is 1 times 36, 2 times 18, 3 times 12, 4 times 9, and 6 times 6. But in this section today, things can go really fast if you realize that most of them we're going to be dealing with perfect squares, if not all of them. 6 times 6 is 36, and 6 plus 6 would get us 12. So if we recognize that early and we understand that 36, to get that, we can take the same number times itself, and if we add them together, we're going to get the 12, and since we want it to be negative, if we make them both negative, we have our answer. But then we're going to rewrite our answer a little bit differently in the end, and this should look familiar because we had a section where we multiplied these. When we saw that little 2, we wrote 2 of those down. So it's reversing that process, x minus 6 squared. Okay? Everybody got the right spot in the notes? Notes. All right, now the next one has a couple of perfect squares. The 16, first of all, the way we would do it is we would figure out, oh, okay, 1 times 16, 2 times 8. But 16 is 4 times 4. Now, we can write them all. Today, we're just not going to. The 100, 10 times 10. There's more ways to get 100, but we're going to try with those anyway, because one of the pieces of advice I always gave you to start with the closest pairs. So if I do, I'm going to have 4x and 4x because that's going to get me 16x squared. The x and the x still get us x squared. Now, there are other ways I can do that. 16, of course, can be 1 and 16, 2 and 8, and we have more ways to get 16. But today, since we're dealing with perfect squares, I'm going to use the 4 and the 4. The 100, like I said, could be more ways. 1 and 100, 2 and 50, 4 and 25, 5 and 20. And that's it. 10 and 10 is the last one. But I'm going to put a 10 here and a 10 here. Now, if I make them both positive, if I were to multiply these, that would be 40x. And inside it would be 40x. And adding those together is going to give me the 80x. So that's the correct answer. But in the end, I want to write it down. I get 4x plus 10 squared. All right. So the next one, 16. 16 again would be 4x and 4x as a perfect square. 4 times 4 is 16. 49 is what times what? Again, if you wrote these down on the first page, 7 times 7. So we're going to try that first in this section, and we're going to put a 7y and a 7y. Now I'm going to make them both positive. 4 times 7 is 28, and it would have an xy. If I do the next part, it'd be 28 with an x and a y. Those two added together is 56. So that is the value if we factor it. And that's what we get, 4x plus 7y to the second. See if you can try the next one. See if you can figure that one out. I'm going to give about 30 seconds to try that one. What did you put as the first two terms? First one here. 7x and 7x. What did you put as the last ones? -5. -5. That's correct. Now, if you were to multiply those, you'd get -35x and -35x, which would add together to get the -70. Is that starting to make some sense? Okay. Now, this is why we call them special cases, because not all of them work out this easy. But when you recognize you have two perfect squares, it does work out pretty easy. Okay, so the next one, of course, we're going to go x and x. And 49 is 7 and 7. And if it's both positive, that's 7 and 7 make 14. So this one is x plus 7 squared. All right, try the next one on your own. Let's see if you can get it. Pay attention to the signs. Yeah, 10x and 10x. That's correct. What are the last two? 3y, -3y, and -3y. Yep. Because then that's, ooh, wait, did I do something wrong there? Actually, this one did, it shouldn't be, I think I've got the number wrong in there. This should be 60. Change that to a 60. Because when we multiply these, this has to be negative -30, -30. It's got to be -60. So typo on the page. It was supposed to be a -60. Okay. So that's actually it today. We have an assignment on this. It's the last worksheet in there. We're going to look at doing the first, let's go to the first 8 of those today. So 1 through 8 on the last page, it says perfect square trinomial worksheet on it.